And kick it off with stand up. So, what did we do yesterday? What were the wins? What were the victories? Where did we get stuck? Where did we get frustrated? Where were we at from yesterday?
Um,
Yesterday,
Yesterday
I
I
feel like
feel
I
like I
win.
win.
If you're muted, are you muted?
I just muted you. You're good.
There you go. Okay, yeah. No, I feel like I was in a really good space, and I heard before that a lot of people understood what they were doing, and
You heard us warning it was going to be tough. You heard us warning that the light bulb moments were coming. And then the light came yesterday and like everything started clicking. So it was great to see that from you guys. What else from yesterday? How are we feeling about mobile development? Realizing that it's not that different, feeling like we're understanding, pulling in libraries for the fonts, feeling like we're pulling in frameworks like Bootstrap. How are we feeling about all that stuff?
I got stuck yesterday, but it was good that I got stuck because then I kind of felt like how other people felt. So, and that's normal. So getting it out of the way, and I know it's going to become a point in time where I'm going to be stuck anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, getting stuck is part of the process, and you will get stuck at multiple places along the way and at the beginning of your career, right? So important to get practice for reaching out for help, knowing that that's completely normal. Using your network, relying on students, feeling like other students or seeing that other students are getting stuck at that exact same spot. Whatever it is, just reaching out and knowing where to get help. And if you ever reach the point where you're like, I feel like I can't get help or I don't know even what question to ask, that's the time to schedule a one-on-one and be like, I get the project, I get the assignment, I don't even know where to start, or I started it and you started going off, and now 3 hours later I'm completely lost. So that's the time to get the one-on-one out. Any other questions? Any other comments for yesterday? I know it's Thursday. I know it's towards the end of the week. We're going to finish strong. We're going to get our mobile site done. We're going to start on Netflix. And we're going to go into the weekend with a good, strong bang. Any questions on homework? The homework assignment should be pretty clear. The only two for this week are uploading the desktop site and then uploading the mobile site as soon as we finish it up today. But any questions on homework there? And a reminder to fill out the 30-second feedback if you haven't filled it out at least once this week. Just some feedback on how it went, what went well, what didn't go well. If you leave your name off of there, it's fully anonymous. We can't trace you in any way. But if you leave your name in there, that helps us, have context for where you're struggling and reach back out to you for help one-on-one. We good to dive into the code? Any last questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question. When we're done with the mobile version, are we going to keep it separate, the desktop and the mobile? You had mentioned something about making it responsive so that the mobile would then flow into the desktop.
Yeah, I'd like to take a stab at responsiveness. That won't be a homework assignment. That will kind of be watch Max do it and follow along if you would like. It won't be an assignment due in Canvas, but I would like to take a stab at that tonight if we have the time. If we're cutting it close, that's something I may push to Monday. But I would like to take a stab at that tonight if we have the time. Great question. Yep, absolutely. Any other questions? Okie doke. So what I would like to do, I'm going to get set on everything on my desktop. I've got a my code week 3 day 3 folder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click and duplicate the whole folder and rename that as day 4. Then I'm going to go into my VS Code. I'm going to file, open folder. I'm going to pop open day 4 instead, which is going to have just a duplicate of where we left off. If you want to keep working on your day 3 files, that's completely fine with me. I'm going to kick off the live share, and dump that into the live stream week 3, day 4. That is there, and then I am going to go into chat and put it into Zoom so you guys can join me there. Then I am going to move my outline out of the way and get my server started by clicking go live. And I'm going to right click, inspect, and go into our mobile mode because that's what we're focusing on. And I'm just going to move this over to here and this out of the way here. And I'm going to go to my files and I'm going to open my index.html and should be all set. Give you guys a minute to catch up on that, and then we're going to go over 2 extensions that we can install. Okay, so hopefully you guys are caught up. The first extension I want to install, extensions are over here on the right. It's the square with the 1 square coming out of the other 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a search for something called Prettier. And there are a ton of Prettier options here. The one that we want is this top one with 20.2 million downloads. So make sure you don't get any of the ones further down on the list. We want this top one. So I'm going to click install on that. And as soon as you see disabled, it's actually installed. So I'm going to close out of it, go back to my files, and up at the top, very top of the screen where it says Xcode, I'm going to click on that, drop down to preferences, and then click on settings. The other way to get to that is if you hit command comma, that should also pop open your preferences. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a search for format on save. And you'll notice there's a little check mark here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that off. And then I'm also going to do a search for just the word format. And I'm going to look to see the setting that I'm trying to find. Maybe if I do a search for... Oh, well, let's see if that's enough. I thought we had to turn it on somewhere else, but let's see. Oh, that's what we have to do. Okay, so after you get that check mark set, do clear your search and do a search for formatter, format with a TER added on the end, and that's going to bring up this pop-up. So I'm going to click on that, and I am going to find Prettier in the list and click that off as well. So that just sets our default formatter to code formatter Prettier. So now if I close out of that, go into my index, and I have a field day with screwing up my indentation and realize, oh man, I need to fix all of that. All I need to do is hit save, and you're going to see my entire file gets formatted with all the correct indentation, going all the way down, fixing my spans, getting all of that working. So I'm going to stop there. Danielle, I know you've got a question coming to you next, and then if anyone else is lost, we'll get to you. Danielle, what's your question?
Can you just go back how you got to the search for formatter?
So you're going to go to code up at the top and drop down to preferences and then over to settings. And then once you're in there, there should be a search settings up at the top. You're muted. Did you mean to mute yourself?
Okay. After settings, you said when the search settings comes up, is the word format or formatter?
Formatter with a TER at the end.
Okay, thanks.
And you're gonna, that first drop down, it's gonna be set to none. You want to go down, and Prettier is gonna be like 6th on the list or somewhere along there. Okay. And then the other one that you want to search for is up at the top, or actually 2 down from, if you're searching for formatter, the second option down says format on save, and that's the other one that you want to make sure is checked off.
Okay, thanks.
And what that means is every time that you hit the save button, Prettier is going to run and fix your indentation. And if it doesn't do that, that means that there's a syntax error somewhere in your code, and you need to fix that before it can fix the formatting, the indentation.
Max, in the default formatter, I don't see the option for Prettier.
Did you go over to the extensions and install Prettier?
Extensions.
So go to extensions, type in the word Prettier up at the top, Prettier, and then you want to install the one that has 20.2 million downloads. And if we all downloaded at the exact same time, there will still be 20.2 million downloads.
Then go back to settings. Oh, there it is now. All right.
Anyone else stuck?
Format,
Yes.
unsave.
Call it, so I kind of fall behind.
Max, is there a way when you save to make it look like there's tabs when there's like an indentation instead of like one space?
Yes. So if you would like to use tabs instead of spaces, which I don't necessarily recommend, if you do a search for spaces, nope, it's not spaces. The top one that comes in that says insert spaces, and then it says insert spaces when pressing tab, you would want to uncheck that if you want to use tabs instead of spaces. But that is a debate of whether which one is better. So VS Code recommends spaces by default, so that's what I would leave it on. But if you are really like you've got your mind made up and tabs is definitely what you want to use instead of spaces, I'm not going to stop you from turning that off.
All right, thank you.
Is there a way to turn off like the pre-closers, like when we're typing in them, like it automatically popping up?
There sure is. That doesn't necessarily mean I know what to type in to search for it to turn it off.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know where that came from.
Good job, Crystal. No.
Insert div, insert closing, insert.
Oh, look.
Let's see if Google can help us with that. VS Code turn off auto insert closing tag. Auto closing tags. Auto closing tags. Okay. So all one word, auto closing tags. If you do not like VS Code putting in the closing div for you, you can go in and turn that off for HTML. Again, this is another setting that I do not recommend turning off. I recommend
Good with
keeping.
mine.
What?
I'm good with mine. I'll keep it on.
Yeah. So I would recommend leaving it on because those auto closing tags are trying to help you remember or trying to help you not forget that those tags should be in there and that the indentation is correct. So I would recommend leaving those on, and I'm going to leave mine on. However, if you cannot stand them and you say, I want to close my own tags and I'll take the time and get my indentation right and do it myself, I cannot stop you from turning them off. These are your computers, your dev environment, your tools.
Okay, I'll take your recommendation and keep it on.
Now,
I just have to remember to press enter. That's my only problem.
Yes, and if you find that after this weekend, after you catch up on all the assignments and you're working today and you're like, forget Max's recommendation, I just want those suckers off, you can totally come in here and turn it off. This is your computer, your development environment, and what you have to be comfortable with, right? So if I thought it was a really terrible idea, I wouldn't even tell you what to type in to turn it off. But I will open the door and say that it is not a suggestion, but it is totally something you can do. And I do know senior developers who hate the auto closing tags and turn them off. So I think it's worth getting over the learning curve because eventually that payoff will be worth it. Once you get used to it, having that indentation working and having that closing tag inserted will help you. But again, personal preference, can't tell you to not do it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a follow-up question on Larry's question about the indentation.
Yes.
So if we keep the spaces on, is there a way to make the indentations bigger? Because I was getting used to each indentation being, one of the lines, one of the vertical lines in VS Code.
Yeah, so if you do a search, no, see, that's prettier. Space width.
Bars are kind of gone at the top, huh?
This might be what you're looking for. I'm gonna let you test around with it and then see if it is. But I did a search for space width, and prettier came up that says number of spaces it should use per tab 2. If you try, well, let's try it together. I'm gonna set this to 8, which is gonna be massive, and then go back to my file, open up index.html. Space something over a little bit and hit save. And now what that's doing is it's pushing it way out and using 8 spaces for each tab that I would like to use. So I'm going to put it back to 2 on mine.
Real quick, Max.
What's that?
You put it on 4 real quick?
Yeah, 4 makes it the way it was before.
4 will probably make it the way it was before. So if you like narrow spaces in your tabs, that's fine. I think I'm weird in that I like my JavaScript at 2, but my HTML at 4. Don't ask me why. It's possible to get in there and configure it down to that level. I'm going to leave it on 2 just because it's the default, but if there is a consensus... Actually, no, I lied. I'm going to leave it on 4 because I think that's the most legible. So I'm going to try it at 4. If you guys find that, like, not enough stuff is staying on the screen, let me know and we can adjust it from there. But yeah, leaving it, I'm going to leave mine on 4. You can adjust yours however you want. Again, I just did a search for space width in preferences and adjusted that there. Any other questions on settings? There's 2 other extensions that I want to install. I would recommend that you don't install them until you see what it does to your code, and then you can decide whether or not you would like it or not. So one extension we're going to install, that I'm going to install to see if you guys like, I'm just going to do a search for rainbow, and there's this indent rainbow with 3.1 million installs. Again, you don't have to install this yet. I just want to show you what it does. So if I install that and then open up my index.html, you see these colors going on here? What it's basically doing is making it easier to see where that div starts and ends. So it's just giving your eye a little bit more space so that when you click on this div, you can see that this purple is following it all the way down, right? And that alternating color, it's not doing anything to your code. It's just changing the way the code is highlighted. So that is one option for you. If you find that helpful, go ahead and install it. If you do not find it helpful, you do not have to install it. I personally don't like that. So I'm going to go to my indent rainbow and just uninstall it. And then the other one I want to show you guys is the rainbow brackets. And so I'm going to install that and just do a quick refresh on mine. Hopefully that did not... Oh, that kicked me out of live share. Sorry, I will restart a live share in a second. But if I go to my index.html... Oh, does rainbow brackets only work in JavaScript?
Is it 1.3 mil? Because I don't see pictures, they're just words for me.
Yeah, the rainbow brackets is the 1.3 mil one, but I thought...
It says something about what F1 whatever to
Like in
window enable, whatever that is.
Yeah, let's try that. F1 ext. Oh, but that's the install. I already did that. I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe the one that I want is rainbow tags. Let me try that one.
Probably need another link to get back to the,
Yeah, I'll live share that in 1 second. Okay, so rainbow tags is the one that I was thinking of. Rainbow brackets will help with JavaScript. But basically, this changes up the colors of your code, right? So this makes it easy to see that because this is a pink div and this is a pink div, that those two are the ones closing each other. But this is a orangish yellow or orangish salmon color div. And so if we scroll down, you'll see this is another color div down here, right? Same for these spans. Because this is a green span, that means this is the closing span tag. So what it just does is it changes the color of your opening tag to match the color of your closing tag. So if you do like that, you can install that. If you don't, that's completely fine. So the 3 extensions, and I want to see Rainbow Brackets is going to do a similar thing, but it's going to help us when we get into JavaScript code. So let me see if I can... Let me copy... Oh, there it is. So I'm going to leave links for these rainbow brackets and then rainbow tags. I'm going to leave links for these in the outline. If you do decide that you like them, fine to play around with them this weekend. Decide if you want them, decide if you don't. Oh, I just put the one in for brackets for tags. Edit. Sorry, let me get the outline updated. Rainbow brackets is going in here.
It's kind of what I was talking about when I wanted a theme. So this is gonna work for me. The colors.
Yeah, and like I said, some people love these extensions and some people hate them. So whatever you guys decide to leave on is completely fine. Rainbow tags is linked.
Wait, how did you do the rainbow brackets? I haven't installed.
Just go to extensions and do a search for rainbow brackets.
Okay, yep, I did that.
And then just click the install button there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
Rainbow tags. Prettier is what I was going for. Let me grab prettier.
I can add that one, Matt.
Why?
Prettier. And I apologize if you hear lawnmowers in the background. It is the season. Copy. Rainbow tags and then rainbow. Okay, all the links are now in the outline. So if you would like to install any of those, you should be able to click on the link in the outline and hopefully it will pop right open in VS Code. If not, you'll be able to just search for the name from there. Okay, any questions on other extensions? I will say if you find an extension you really like that's helping you guys, definitely share it out with not only the students, but the CIC Student C3 channel, just so I can see it as well. And then I can also add it to the resources on the outlines as if you find them helpful. So I'm actually going to remove my rainbow brackets and my rainbow tags, but if you guys decide as a class, like, hey, rainbow tags, leaving those on really help me line things up, I can go back and turn those on for you guys. I am going to leave prettier on though, because once I got used to writing code with prettier, I now can't write code without it because it fixes all of your indentation for you. Takes a little while to get used to, but once you do, it works wonders. So I'm gonna leave my prettier on, my format on save on, which means every time I save my file, if my code is valid syntax, it's gonna automatically indent it for me. And I am going to just do a quick refresh there to get back to the normal coloring. And I'm going to restart the share for the code. apologies for that. If you check in Slack, the latest link is in there, and same for Zoom. Give everyone a minute just to connect in there, and then what we are going to do is keep working on our mobile news.
Then it was indent rainbow next.
What's that?
In the search, it was indent rainbow, right?
No, rainbow tags or rainbow indent.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it is indent rainbow and I had it wrong.
It's indent rainbow.
Indent rainbow. You were right. My bad.
Okay.
It's in the outline on Canvas. There's like links to them, so it's easier. Like you can still type them in if you want, but all the names are there and the resources.
All right, I see everyone joining back in, and I am going to get my live server working and just pull that down over here so we can see it and go back into my mobile mode, which it kicked me out of. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. All of this is still looking pretty good. This is my... Come on, got this sized up right. This is what I'm going after, right? So one thing I noticed right off the bat is my subscribe button is not up against that profile, and I really want that over to the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix that, and then we're going to keep going down here for our different content and borders, practicing with our CSS and all of that. So to fix our subscribe button, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entire div, delete it out, and put it inside my other div. So I'm going to put it inside this and make it a col6, and then clean up some of my tags here. Start of subscribe button, end of subscribe button, and I'm going to remove the class col3 from it. And we're going to see what that looks like. So I'm going to go to Chrome, save, refresh. Okay, that looks very ugly and did not do what I wanted it to, but that's all right. Let's see what's going on there. So what I need to do is I'm going to go to my DevTools and play around with my DevTools and see if that can help me get it looking the way I want it to. So I'm going to right-click and inspect on that, and I'm going to pull this out so we've got room to work. So here's my subscribe button going on, right? And here's my circle at the bottom. So the first thing I want to do is I want to say, hey, this subscribe button should be in line, right? It should be treated as if it were a text element right next to my profile button. So on the element style, I'm going to say display in line. And all of a sudden, that's going to start working with us, right? That's a lot closer to where we want it to be. So I'm going to keep going there, and I'm going to say, all right, well, it needs to move over from the right. So I'm going to go down to the bottom, and at my margin, I'm going to say, hey, this little dash, I'm going to double click on and say, I want that to be 10 pixels over. So now that's given us a little bit more space. Let's try 15. Okay, that's better. Now let's see what else we can do. We've got, it's a little low than what I want. So I'm going to try and take my negative margin. And it's not going to let me do negative now. And it's not going to let me do negative margins because it's in line. However, that should, I'm still confused as to why that's towards the bottom and not towards the top. Maybe I'm going to regret trying to style that button and should have left it in a column the way it was. That's going to be our padding on the side. All right, let's try this again. I'm gonna refresh. I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna say, hey, this should display. Let's try an inline block instead and see if that will work with us more. And I will explain the differences in one moment. No, that doesn't work either. Okay, let's do this instead. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our CSS. We're going to open style.css, and in the subscribe button, we are going to say, hey, we would like you to display inline, meaning we want you to display as text. And at the bottom of it, just give us some breathing room at the bottom of that border. So if I refresh there, okay, so we're going to do an inline block. We're going to say display inline block. And what that's basically saying is this should flow like regular text, but we still want all of the benefits of block elements. So the problem with inline elements is that the margin doesn't really affect the parent container. And so CSS over time said, well, there are benefits to putting elements inline in that they can just flow from left to right. But there are also benefits of block elements, meaning that we can position them, we can have individual padding and margin on them, and they all affect the parent. And so CSS a couple years ago came up with inline block elements that basically gave you the benefits of both, saying it can flow like text and things can be right next to each other, but at the same time, the margin and padding can impact the parent element. So by making it a margin, making it an inline block, we have some flexibility now. So now we can say, hey, that button, I would like that button to have some space over on the right of it. So I'm going to say margin right 15 pixels. And that's going to push us away from this one here. And then the other problem is that our button needs some space around it, right? So I'm going to say the padding on the left is going to be, let's say, let's start with 10. That might be too big. Padding on the right is going to be 10. And let's see what the padding on the top and bottom look like. Padding top 5 px, padding bottom.
Matt,
yes.
When you first started the display, were you just gonna put inline?
Yep.
Okay, so what would that have done? And then why did you decide to make it inline block?
Yep. So if I make it inline, you see how none of our margins are affecting the parent element. That's because inlined elements never affect the parent div that they're in terms of spacing. And so the problem is if we do it inline, well, now it's positioned where we want, but the padding on that element isn't adjusting our parent. So the flip side of that is, well, we could say just make it a block, but now we've got a problem of because a block is going to take up the whole area, it's pushing our profile icon down. And we don't want that either. We really want something in between, right? We want something that's going to affect the parent element, but it's going to flow as if that button were text in the flow of the document. And so that's why we did the inline block, so we got the advantages of both.
Okay, thank you. That's a good question.
Okay, and then the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here, and my margin top, I don't know that I want it to be -5 pixels anymore. Okay, and I actually want to bring my padding on the bottom down just a little bit so it's equal. So to see what that looks like, we can use our dev tools, and on the padding bottom, I'm just going to click in there and then use my, not my padding, my margin on the bottom. I'm going to use my arrow down button and just shrink that down until that looks equal to me, and 5 pixels looks equal to me. So I'm just going to come back in here. Because we played around in the margin bottom, I can come back here and adjust this, and now that's looking good to me. Now, I will come back and, well, we can do that now. So now the problem is our profile icon isn't centered and our menu button isn't centered, right? But the good news is we can go back to our index and find our menu button. And I'm just going to say ID equals menu button call. Save, come back to my CSS, add in my menu button call, and let's just see what a margin of 5px does to that. Okay, that's got it now nice and centered. And then we just have to do that for our profile icon. So we're going to go back. We're going to go to the account circle. We are going to say ID equals profile icon. Grab that. Go back to our style. Add in our profile icon. Add in our margin top of 5px. Come back over. And that might not be enough. So let's see. If I look here, my profile icon's here. Ooh, now we've got a different problem of it's moving the whole div down. Okay, was not expecting that. Let's see what happens. The padding on the top. I don't think it's going to do anything because that's an inline element.
Oh.
Well, that's not fun. That's not what I wanted it to do. Okay, let's see. Can we do... Wonder if we can use all right, I'm gonna come back to that one because I want to get the rest of the site done. We may be able to flex that into position or play with the padding a little bit more, but I think, you know, let me try one more thing. Let me do a display inline block on that and see if that gets us anywhere. And if not, I will come back to that and show you guys the solution. Margin top. Yeah, that's not doing what I wanted. And I don't think the padding is either. Yeah, okay, I'm going to come back to that one and show you guys the solution. So before we move on with that, any questions on what we did up here? What about it?
I don't even know I broke mine though.
You broke it? Go ahead and share your screen and let's take a look.
Doesn't matter if you put a space between.
Let me see your code.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got your col 6,
Work
you've
it
got
out.
your col 3s.
Yeah, can you show me? I wasn't sure where he deleted the div out and pasted it back. But mine was fine. Oh, it was described. Yeah, I don't have the box.
Did you add things to your style? Okay, so the problem is when I made all of those subscribe button changes, I updated my index.html to move things around in there. So if you go to the index.html,
Is the subscribe button blocking because it's in its own
yes.
Isn't it in its own column, so isn't it why it's blocking the icon that you're trying to?
It is. Yep, that's exactly the problem. So Larry, if you look over on here on my code, what I did is I took the subscribe button and I moved it into a col 6. So now instead of having a 6, a 3, and a 3, I just have one big 6. So what you can do is you can take this subscribe button in your code and move it right into here.
And then change that to a col 6.
And then change that to a col 6 and remove the col 3 from the subscribe button.
Oh, it's not letting me.
Oh, it should now. Sorry, when I clear writing, sometimes it knocks you out.
And then clear the col 3 from the subscribe button.
Yep, you got it.
So no class for the subscribe button.
Correct. And see if that catches you up.
Yes, I mean it has.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Max, I need help as well.
Yep, go ahead and share your screen.
There's one mine right now.
There's no accent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead back to your code.
In your style, you had in one block, but it's just in my block. And then the only other thing you usually do is
I think that's. Oh, okay. So you have to do the same thing that Larry did. So you actually did it in reverse. What you want to do is take your span here and move it up into your col 6 up here.
Show me that last little part again.
So this entire
No,
screen
it's okay.
here.
Yep.
You have all 6.
What?
So that's your first half,
All
which
right,
is the menu.
okay.
And then to get the space, to subscribe, to get the subscribe closer to the, yep.
Damn it. No, mine is all messed up.
You move the div to
And
subscribe.
then the other thing you want to do is you're missing a closing div on that subscribe button. So after the subscribe button right here, you're going to want to put in your closing div.
Being 6 column top, so it kind of squishes
So
out.
basically, you have two
And then
houses.
the only issue, you just have like a
One
typo,
second.
where
Right.
you can actually,
Okay.
and then you're
Wait.
saying.
So basically, he
I'm lost.
he put the,
Had an extra
Oh,
You're welcome. That's what I have to look out for. Yesterday when I figured out, I realized I was only missing an E. That's a little typo. Yeah.
Guys, if you can keep the in-person talking down because everyone who's remote can't hear, especially the person who's asking for help.
Sorry, I was helping Nicole.
Subscribe.
Yep, so at the end of the subscribe there, hit enter, and you need to put in a closing div because there's a div open on 32 that you don't have closed. And so now hit enter there, paste, and now take out your col 3 going on here. Okay. Now save and let's see what that looks like. If you click again, it should let you start editing code again. Oh, your in-person got muted. Caitlin, if you can hear me, can you unmute the laptop?
There you go.
Thank you.
I muted so that we could talk about stuff here without disturbing you guys.
Okay.
Hey, I know him.
All right, thank you guys.
Like, I don't know him.
Okay, any other questions on that before we move forward?
Me?
Yeah, my code doesn't look anything like yours anymore, and I don't know what happened.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen, Stephanie, and then Wayne, you can share next. I'm not sure who's, Corey, I'm going to come back to you just because Stephanie's up, and then I'll come to whoever needs help next. Okay, so first thing I notice is you've got an ID going on without a div. So you're missing the beginning of a div tag there.
But see how like this whole area doesn't look anything like this area.
So yeah, put in your opening div there. Space. Okay, and now your col 3. So what we ended up doing is moving all of this code, your span, into this subscribe column. Okay, and then, but you are missing your closing div on your subscribe button. So just do a closing div in there. So right where you're typing, just do a closing div with the arrow. And then take out this div down here. The opening and the closing.
So this one?
Yep. And 29 as well.
The whole line?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And now Prettier is mad at you for some reason, and it's normally because our opening and closings aren't lining up. I think you may need one more closing div. So I think on 29, if you put a closing div in, we're about to witness the magic of Prettier, if I'm right. And try and save.
This is supposed to be like this, right?
Okay, well that fixed a lot of your problems, but it didn't fix Prettier, which is still mad at you. Div, span open, span close. No, I think maybe you were right in that you want to take that out.
This?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Weird.
Okay, and now it should look a lot like mine, and you're getting the expected behavior in the browser.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, Prettier does take a minute to get used to.
Hey Max, quick question.
Yep.
When you I think you changed like the aesthetics of how your lines look. I don't know, like what did you like get? And my brain, sorry. Our lines is not like lining up with yours. What did you do to change that?
So let me share my screen. I went to code up at the top, down to preferences and over to settings. You can also hit command minus. I then did a search for tab width and changed my Prettier tab width from 2 to 4.
Okay.
I hope that's the question you were asking.
I think it is, only because when you went in and changed it, I think I did it right, but it kind of threw me off. I couldn't go in and figure out like where you was at changing it, but I think
Yeah, so basically the tab width is saying I would like 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to show up every time I hit tab, and that becomes a personal preference whether you want 2 or 4 or whatever.
Okay. And you said it was tab.
Okay, I'll share mine.
Yep, go ahead. Scotty, I'm gonna mute you. If it doesn't fix it, let me know and we can circle back.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I need to stop sharing. I'm sorry. Okay, now you can.
So my code was good, and then all of a sudden it looks like this.
Okay, so let's go back to your HTML. All right, so we've got things mixed up here. You've got a span material icons, and then a closing span, and then an ID on a closing tag. So there's a whole lot wrong there. Go ahead and take out 23 and 24 completely. Okay, and what we really need to be doing is looking at our code and saying what's wrong here. We've got a class call 6, and then no closing quote, and then another class equals, and a lot going on there. So whenever we have two classes on the same div, it should just be space separated. So take out the class equals and the quote there. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So now what I have is another div for my subscribe button. So take that ID equals subscribe button and just cut it. So highlight ID, yep, you got it. And cut that. And then put your closing quote in, and that's going to fix our call 6 in the text end. Closing quote, not closing tag. So just the quote button. Shift quote. So we need a quote there. A double quote.
This one.
No, a quote, not a colon.
Oh,
The two, yep, that one. There you go. Okay, so now let's come down. Hit enter. Now we're going to do a div with a tag. Yep. And then paste your ID. Space, and then paste your ID. Okay, close that out. Enter. And go ahead and move the word subscribe into your subscribe button. So that's going to go up to 24. Okay. And now we just need to figure out all of that's fine. Call 6 row. Okay, so you hit save and your prettier ran for you, which means it formatted everything and fixed all the indentation. So now go to your browser and see if that lines up. Refresh. Okay, maybe we got a different problem. Go back to your VS Code. Okay, so go to your style.css and see if that's caught up with mine. Subscribe is... So that is... I made some changes to my subscribe button. If you go to my style.css, you'll see those changes in there. Once you make those changes, yours should line up with mine. So your 15, my 15 through 24 does not match your 9 to 13.
Okay.
So give those changes a try and see if you can catch up there.
Okay.
All right, who else needs help? Christy's just drinking her tea, watching the show.
Caught up. I'm caught up. I got it.
Good work. How are we doing in person? You guys are muted, but are you all caught up in person or you need help? Good? Okay.
I think we're all good, yeah.
Okay. So the more important question here is not are you caught up, it's are you understanding what we're doing? Are you understanding how the CSS is impacting our HTML? You understanding why we're moving things into different columns or adjusting the layout? Is all of that making sense?
I feel like for me, yes, it all makes sense, but I still, like, I don't know, like, maybe because I did everything, like, the way you did it, that I still haven't seen what Prettier can do.
Okay. So as we keep writing the code, when you save, you're going to see my indentation just change a little bit. And if your indentation, if you're getting good at doing your own indentation yourself, Prettier actually won't make any difference to you because you're used to doing the indentation. But what you're going to see is I'm going to get a little sloppier with my indentation because when I save, I know Prettier is going to fix it for me. And so that's all that Prettier is doing, right? Is it's trying to make your indentation quite literally prettier because it's following a format.
Okay, great. Danielle, I mean, not Danielle, Christine.
Christy, go ahead.
Okay, so what I didn't understand is when you moved the subscriber button. So because you were talking and I was looking at the text. So we moved the subscriber button out of the call 3 and into a call 6. And then we created some CSS to what are the words I want to use? We created a new thing in CSS to add the margins and the pixels and all of that stuff to make it.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut you off just because I think sometimes a visual is more helpful than explaining it. So initially, this is how we had our column set up. We had a 6 for the menu button, and that 6, even though we didn't need the whole space, was pushing everything over in the columns, and then we had a 3 and a 3. And that was great, but what it ended up doing is creating too much space over here and not enough space here. And so I said, I don't really like that. I would like my subscribe button to be closer to my profile icon. So what we did is we deleted this 3 altogether. We then took our 3 that was remaining and made it a 6 and moved our subscribe button into the 6. And then we adjusted the CSS on the subscribe button to display inline block so we could actually get them side by side. And then we adjusted and fiddled around with the margin and padding to get it looking the way we wanted it to.
Okay. That makes perfect sense now. Okay, I got it.
Great question. Did that help anyone else?
Yeah, it helped me better read my code because I understood what's going on, but the more I listen to what you're saying and actually go back and look at the code where you're saying it, I understood like why it had to go like that.
So oftentimes, and this came up on a one-on-one today, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. When I'm teaching, the what I am doing is 10 times less important than the why I'm doing it, right? So there are going to be times where I'm coding 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you're like, screw it, not gonna be able to code that fast, just right. But what's more important during class is you understand why I'm doing it. And oftentimes the why doesn't become apparent until after it's done. So if at any point we hit a break and you go, okay, did all that, my code's looking like that, but why'd we do that? It's important at that point to stop and be like, great, Max, got it, got the what, why, right? And at that point, it may be as simple as me pulling out a visual and making those adjustments, and you now can layer that into our divs and our indentation and go, all right, now that makes sense, right? So if at any point you're coming out of a class and you're like, I got 100% of the what, I'm feeling great, I still have no idea why we did all of that in class, that's when you should ask questions, right? And it's more apparent when we write new code. It's less obvious when we're adjusting existing code. And oftentimes, what we actually just did is our first refactor of code. And refactoring code means code is never perfect, right? There's always a slightly better way of doing it. So refactoring code is like going back and revising and editing an essay, right? It's realizing that once we got the first version out on the page, yes, it worked, but there was a better way of saying it. And so this is actually our first refactor, and totally an item that I had on the agenda. That I now have on the agenda is refactoring. Okay, any questions on that?
You explained that very well.
Okay, we're going to keep trucking here. Warehouse pun not intended, but appreciate it. Christy, go ahead.
Me and this mouse. So okay, this is my last one. So the span would really be considered like a row. Since we have a column, I'm thinking in terms of like a
span is like in line. So if you think about a sentence that says, this is a bold word, and we want to bold just the word bold, we would put a span around the word bold so it shows up in line.
So then in line is the row.
Yes.
Okay, and then span is the individual.
Correct.
In the row.
Correct.
In the inline.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Let's keep trucking. We're gonna keep going down here, and this should start making more sense, right? Because we're in our mobile site, our mock-up here. Our mock-up is looking a lot like this. Let me switch back over. We're making progress, right? We can see the similarities between our mock-up going on over here and our wireframers. We're making progress here. Little differences, but I think we're making pretty good progress. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep going on new content down here at the bottom. We've got this subscriber exclusive, amazing headline, and then an advertisement at the bottom and some other, shorter link going on there. So let's just keep going. We're going to put my, that there. I'm going to try and close this out and just make a little bit of adjustments so we can make really good progress. Okay. So now the almighty question of, I'm about to open a new div. Where do we put it? We've got div soup going on, right? And so what we need to do is look at this and say, okay, I want to get this subscriber exclusive in there. That's what I'm trying to get in. So do I want it to go in the row that has my headline picture in it? No. So I need to come outside of that, and now I need to look at this div. So I'm going to click on the div, scroll all the way up, and that's my div class equals container. Do I want it inside my container? Yes. So that means that I need to go in here, open up a new div, and I'm going to call this... Yep.
Wrong spot.
What?
You're outside your container right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, now that I'm in the right spot, I'm going to say start of first article and the end of first article. And I'm going to watch my prettier, because my prettier is kind of cranky because I had an empty div in there. I hit save and it threw me off. So I want to come inside of here and just make sure I'm in the right spot. So I'm just going to add a p tag that says div soup. Come back to my code, and my div soup is showing up exactly where I want it to. So that means I can continue. So I'm going to go to my mockup, and I'm going to say, okay, that is a button going on. So I'm going to make that a div, and I'm going to spell div right. And I'm going to say subscriber exclusive. And on that div, I'm going to say ID equals exclusive. And actually, we should probably make that a class, just in case we're going to have a subscriber exclusive anywhere else on the page. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go to my code, and I've got subscriber exclusive showing up. But there is that little key in there, and I want my key to show up as well. So I'm going to do a search, or I'm going to go to fonts.google.com, and I'm going to expand out my window a little bit and click on icons. If your window is collapsed, you can click on the little menu button and then go down to icons. And I'm going to do a search for key. And that looks like a key to me. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to copy this code, the icon font area. And we don't have to go through the thing of adding the link tag and all of that because we've already done it, right? We've already got our material icon set up to come in. So I'm going to click after the words subscriber exclusive. I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to take out the word dash outlined. I'm going to save. I'm going to come back over here. And I've got my little key showing up.
A good place to take a break.
Yep.
Yeah. I gotta like perfect like following him, so when he clicks back and forth, it just goes away. Like the oh, how did he?
If you've got any questions on how did he whatever, just shout them out and I can redo that step.
Oh no, I was a little bit confused on the span, but I thought it was inside of the opening div, but it's not. I can clearly see that it's its own row in the div.
Yep. So the end goal here is we just have the word subscriber exclusive and the key showing up.
No. Hold on. When you copied and paste that from fonts.google, did you put that in your style CSS? I'm sorry, I was like.
No, just in my HTML. The only thing I had to do after I paste it was remove the thing that says dash outlined.
I think.
Did my spacing change when I use prettier? Does it?
It makes it a little narrower. If you would like to change that, you can go to code up at the top, go down to preferences and settings, and then do a search for tab width and change this number from 2 to 4.
Makes sense, because it looks weird. Okay. Preferences. Because I'm like, is this how it's supposed to look? Tab width.
There you go. I guess it had to be lowercase. You have like an extra something here.
To 4. There. Close this.
Literally, like
just make it hit enter on your file and hit save, Wayne, and that will adjust the width sizing.
A little weird.
Okay, let me make sure that I did that.
Why don't you like the indentation? Keep this.
Yep, I did that. Okay. All right.
What's the problem for you? I'm gonna put you.
So.
Oh. Oh. Okay, I got it.
There's something off with my spacing.
You want to share your screen?
I'll share, or maybe I'm just
you have it.
Going crazy.
Right.
So
so everything is right there. Just hit the enter button and hit save and hit Command S.
Enter.
Yeah, just hit enter on your keyboard. And then Command S. And now that's going to take the 4 that you just adjusted it and get it back to where it should be.
Okay. Now it looks a little bit more.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. If you're feeling lost, need some direction from you. Where are you lost? Where do you need help? If you're getting it, great.
Okay, Max, I'm having trouble having my key icon show up. So
Okay.
I must just share my screen with you. Really
Please do.
This is alrighty. So I copied. Oh,
Yep.
never mind. I gotta take out outline.
You beat me to it.
Got it, and we should be good. Thank you.
Yep. It's almost like you guys are learning to debug by watching me debug.
One more question. Is the subscriber key, should it be on the same line where we close the container div?
So it depends. I think you used a key emoji, Wayne, instead of using the span tag, and that's fine. So if you aren't using it, the key should be right next to the word exclusive with a space in between. And then the div should just be above it and below it. I'm not sharing my screen, though. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're using an emoji key, you could just put it here.
No, that's right.
Oh. My command option space isn't working. But you could put your key here, but the div should still be above it and below it. Or it can be on the left and right if the line's short enough. Whatever works.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're good to move on. Last chance for questions.
And this supposed to be inside, not out. So come here for a second. Where are you going? You shouldn't be there. There.
Okay, let's keep going here. So, we've got 12 minutes until break. So let's make a break for it, shall we? Okay, you're not here for my puns. Okay, so we need to do some styling going on there, right? And so it looks to me like this subscriber exclusive is indented more than everything else, but you notice that indent is lining up with all of the other content in that area. We're going to want to follow that. So what I'm going to do is I've got my div up here, and I thought ahead of, I know that this is going to be a separate section of the site, right? So I'm going to come up here, and on my div, I'm going to add a class called article. Then I'm going to go into CSS land and go have some fun. So I'm going to go to my style.css. I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to add my article. And I'm also going to add my exclusive. So my article, I'm just going to guess and say that looks like it is 20 pixels of padding all around it. So if we don't specify a top, left, bottom, right, it's going to apply it everywhere. So I'm going to apply 20 pixels of padding. And then in my exclusive, I know that there's that orange border going on. So I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to try and do two things at once and get my exclusive and my article in there. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to look at my mobile news, and now I've got something going on, but it's not quite what I want. Right? So my padding got added in. We're at the right spot. But my width is going all the way across. And that's because this is getting treated as a div. Div, by default, is a block. It's spanning the whole width. So I don't want it to span the whole width. I want it to be as if it's in line. I only want it to be as wide as the text is. So for the exclusive, I'm going to say, hey, display that inline. And I'm going to spell display right. And now all of a sudden, that pulled it in to where I want it. So now I just need to make some adjustments. I need my padding to be fixed there. So I'm going to do padding 5px. And I've got my subscriber exclusive going on there. So, again, what I did in index, I did a div class article. We already had this div in here. I just added the class article. My div class exclusive, I made sure my class exclusive was on there. And then in my CSS, I added my dot article. And I said padding 20px. So there was a little breathing room going on there. Then I've got my exclusive. And I did a border 1px solid orange. But then the problem was it looked like this. And we don't want it looking like this. We want it to be an inline element. We only want it to be taking up as much space as the text is. So we did a display inline on that. And then we added some padding to make it have some breathing room. Okay.
Move the key down.
What?
Move the key down so it's centered with subscriber exclusive.
That's going to be a challenge because the same reason our profile icon up here is going to be challenging. So I'm going to save that question for 29 minutes from now when we come back from break, and I'm going to show you how to fix it after that.
Okay.
Totally not because I, don't know the answer. It's just because I want to, build the suspense and get you guys excited about it. Christy, you have a question? Or just making progress? Okay. All right. So I'm going to keep going here. Oh, no, you do have a question. Okay.
So my line 38, I've fixed 3 times. And every time I keep fixing it, and then I keep hitting Command S to save it, and then it keeps going back to what it was. And so every time I get ready to try to put in what we're doing, I'm off because the line 38 keeps going back. So I don't understand why it keeps
38, is that your material icons?
Right, I fixed it.
Do you have an ID of profile icon in there?
Yes. Material icons, ID, profile icon. Yes. And then account circle is on the next line, and then span, but it keeps going back. It keeps bringing it all back on one line every time I hit Command S.
When you look at your spaces, does it look like there are 2 spaces at every indentation level or 4?
I don't know what you mean.
Highlight the space between account circle and span, the beginning of the span tag.
It keeps bringing it back to the next line, but let me put it back.
Maybe do it for the subscribe button. Just highlight the spaces between subscribe and the beginning of the div tag, 2 lines above it. Are there 2 spaces or 4 in there?
It looks like 2.
Okay, so that's the difference between yours and mine. I've got mine set to 4 instead of 2. But what Prettier is doing is it's saying, oh, if there are only 2 spaces that you want in there, we can fit all of that on the same line. So if you would like your indentation to be 4 spaces, you go to Code, Preferences, Settings, do a search for tab width, and change this number from a 2 to a 4.
So, okay, say that again.
Code, up at the top menu, Preferences, Settings.
Oh, wait. You know what? Let me write that down. You guys can go ahead. I think. Oh, wait, there it is. Code.
Preferences.
I'm supposed to be in settings, though, right?
Code, Preferences, Settings.
Oh.
Do a search for tab width, and then set that from 2 to 4.
4. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. So we've got subscriber exclusive going on here. So now we can just start popping in our other elements. We've got amazing headline here. So we're going to come down outside of the exclusives class because the exclusive class is what's adding our orange area. So we want it outside of that orange area. And I'm going to say, let's try an H4. And I'm going to say amazing, amazing headline here. And then right underneath it, I'm going to add a P tag because this is just paragraph text that says CIC students master divs. I think I said fear of divs. Okay, and then right underneath it, I'm going to add another P tag, but because the styling is different, I know I'm going to need to adjust it. So I'm going to add a class on there called author. And I'm going to just add my name and say it was 7 minutes ago. So I'm going to go back into my browser. And that's a good starting point, but it's not exactly what we want, right? So the first thing I notice is my subscriber exclusive should be pushing the content beneath it down. So I'm going to go to my style.cxs. And I'm going to say, I don't know if this is going to work because it's inline, but we can try it. Margin bottom, 10px. And that isn't working because it's an inline element, right? We've already established that inline elements can't affect things in their parent. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to put a div class and we're going to say article content. And we're going to move our H4 and our 2 P tags into the div. Then we're going to go back to our CSS, add our article content, and say the margin up at the top should be 20 pixels. Now our amazing headline's a little further down. Now, my Max Matthews, we said, oh, that is the author class, and that color should be gray, and the font size should be a little smaller. So let's try 12 pixels. Okay, that's along the right path, but now there's too much space, right? I want my Max Matthews to be up a little bit more. So I'm going to click on the little inspect button, go to my Max Matthews, and I see that orange space below it, but my problem isn't the space below it, it's the space above it. And so the problem isn't with my author, the problem is with this right here. You see that orange space? That orange space is pushing my author beneath it. So I'm going to click on that, and because it's orange, I know it's my margin. So what I really want to do is add another class here that says article summary. Go back to my style, add in a article summary, and say the margin at the bottom of that should not be there. It should be 0. And that's going to pull up my Max Matthews to exactly where I want it. So I'm going to go back to my mockup. I'm going to make sure that that's looking the way it is. Now, the only thing that I'm noticing is my padding is, well, we can go back in and style that later, but it's along the right design. So that takes us right up to 7. So we're going to take our break now. We'll be back at 7:20. Hopefully you've got your subscriber exclusive amazing headline here, the CICE going on. When we come back from break, we're just going to drop in our US World, some other headline, the picture, the border, and then we'll call the mobile site done and go from there.
Hey, Max?
Yes.
My subscriber exclusive area, it's like really crunched up towards the picture, even though the code is right. I tried changing the what is it called?
Kind of nice.
CSS.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and share your screen and let's take a look.
That's weird. They just turned off random. No, maybe they turned off. I feel like we didn't check with them last time, but they were moving around.
Alright.
Hang on. Yeah.
Here's what it looks like right now.
Okay. And you're saying you just want the padding around it?
Yeah, like if you look right here, it's just all like crunched up.
Yep. Okay, so go to your HTML. And all you're doing is missing the class on 59 of article.
You said I'm missing a class?
Yeah, on 59, that div should just be a div class equals article with your quotes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm gonna need some help.
Yep. The other thing that you need is Corey. I think I did. I put my article content in another div, so 65, 66, 67 are going to get surrounded by another div called article content, and that's what's going to push it down from the button up at the top.
Okay, I'll get that done. All right.
Who said they needed help?
I think I might have figured it out. I'm checking now.
Okay. Any other questions before we go on break?
Max, I needed a little bit of help because for some reason mine isn't looking good.
Okay.
All right, hold on 1 second here. Okay, so let me go to the coding first. All right, so you're on the left, I'm on the right.
Okay.
First of all, it's a lot of color going on. I would like to say that. So I feel like I don't know if I'm supposed to be using like all of the extensions because I had tried out the rainbow one and then I'm like, okay, well the rainbow tags looks kind of good. But then I tried out prettier because I want to see what that would look like. And so, yeah, it's a lot going on right now.
So prettier isn't going to impact the visual look other than fixing indentation for you.
Okay. Okay.
And so if you got, right now, if you messed up all your indentation and hit save, prettier is going to fix it for you.
Okay.
So the rainbow indent is what's giving you those, the
colors, right?
The color lines here. Like all of the colors here is rainbow indent. And then the rainbow tags are what's making this div be a different color than this div.
Okay, and see, yeah, the rainbow indent, I think I'm going to take off. I don't really need that, but okay. So when I try to, I think all of my code is, lining up. I know it's not, for some reason it doesn't line up like on, the same numbers as yours, but for some reason now my picture that I had, I can't see that anymore. So I don't know.
Okay, go to your files over on the left. Not that left.
Oh, sorry. This one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. Is there a way to move this up?
Yeah, towards the bottom of the bar, it says dock to bottom.
Where? Nope. Is it this? I don't know what this is. Okay.
I can't actually see it.
Oh, so. I'm sorry. Okay, I got it.
Okay, so your problem here is that when you copied over your index HTML and style.css, you forgot to copy over your image.
Oh, okay.
So if you just if you just copy that into the day 4 folder and refresh in your browser, that image should show up.
Okay, thank you, because that's literally like the only thing that looked like it was missing, and I'm like, I've been staring at this code for so long.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'll fix that. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, other questions?
I think I don't know. Can you just look at my code?
Yep, go for it. I want to know how the whole room is dark and Larry looks like he's got perfect lighting going on.
I got my screen up on 100.
Okay, take me to your browser. I tend to start better in the browser and then work my way back.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so all of this is looking good. I think the only thing that you're really missing is the space between the I am amazing and the orange button area.
Okay.
And so what I did there is I put all that H4 and the 2 P tags in a div called article content, which is what you're missing there. So if you look at my 62, yeah, I've just got that all in a div to move it down. But you're really close. You're following along fine.
Also, it's the one under that. The article with the author in it?
No, it's Zoom, you're fighting me.
The whole page.
It's this div article content. I put that right here and put all of this code inside of it.
So make another div.
Make another div and then put the H4 and the 2 P tags inside that div.
Okay, I got it.
Cool. Yep, you're mostly caught up, so you're doing good.
Thanks.
Other questions?
I don't know if my prettier is actually working, but I just kind of screwed it up because I deleted out a lot of my code trying to.
So your prettier won't work unless all of your tags are in there. So if you're missing, if you've got an opening tag and not a closing tag or vice versa, prettier will stop working.
Gotcha. Okay, so I need to go back and put my stuff in because I messed up. All right, hold on, let's see. I'm gonna try to fix it and then I'll come back.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we're actually stopping for break now. I'll see you guys at like, let's say 7:25 because we had a couple minutes of extra questions. So we'll see you soon.
I do.
Height tab. And now do like 200 px.
Oh no, that's not gonna work. Well, what if I keep it there until we finish and then change it back?
That's fine. So you just want to add that height 200 px to your class in your CSS.
But I keep the width.
Well, no. So you can't have it both ways. You can either have the width 100%, at which point the height's going to be automatic, or you can set the height and that should be crunching down your width. I'm not quite sure why it isn't. But either way, because we're designing for mobile, what we really should be doing is making sure that we're in the device mode, which is going to be clicking on this button right there. And then change your Surface 7 Pro up here to like an iPhone 12 or whatever they have, iPhone 12 Pro. And now, if you refresh the page, it's going to reset your height. And the image won't be huge or as huge.
Okay, so then I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. I was, and you know what else I figured out? Like to the right over here, it has a number. That number corresponds with the line in CSS.
Yes.
Okay. Feeling really astute today. I gotta switch monitors. I can't take this screen situation. All right, that was my question, so I'll stop sharing.
I see our in-person students have opted for vampire mode for their lighting.
You didn't even laugh at the joke I sent you.
Sorry about the lighting. I will email Jesse and get in touch with the Common Space people and just say, hey, hypothetically, if the lights did go off, how could we turn them back on? So sorry about the enforced dark mode, but here are my goals for the next hour and 4 minutes, because I like to squeeze every minute out from you guys. So what we're gonna do is I want to finish up the Syracuse.com site, and I want to get us started on Netflix, right? I want to just get the base groundwork in place, background in, get our basic going, and then right when you think things are clicking, right when you've got the speed going on, what I'm going to do on Monday is show you the mock-up for Netflix, which you'll see today as we go, and set you free. And on Monday and Tuesday, you're just going to make that website. And we will spend the full 6 hours, 3 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday, working through that, seeing where you guys are at, and just kind of doing it like an open office hours kind of session. And so here's the thinking behind that is you guys are at the point where you've got all the tools, right? And all you need right now is the practice. And so it actually might be hurting you a little bit for me to be taking you through it line by line, right? What you guys need to do is get that practice of, okay, I know what it's supposed to look like. I know what the divs are. I know what CSS is. I need to think through that, right? And so what that's going to do is get you out of the mindset of it doesn't look like Max's and get you to the mindset of, well, how do I do this? What are my divs going to be? Okay, I'm starting a new div. Do I put that in here? What do I do? And so my code is going to be available. If you get stuck and you're like, I don't know how to do that, you can go look at my code. But before you do that, you can say, I wonder if I should go ask another student to see if they've made it that far. Or, maybe I'll jump in with a TA. Or, no, I really don't get how I'm supposed to do this. I'm just going to ask Max. Right? And what that's naturally going to do is it's going to let you figure out, am I someone who just wants to work alone on this? Or maybe I want to work in a group and kind of do this assignment together. And for this particular assignment, that's completely fine. So if you want to pair up with 2 or 3 other students and work with them through that, you guys can turn in one group assignment or turn in the same code for all 3 of you, and that's going to be okay. But the thinking behind it here is that we need to set you free. You need to be your own little developers and try this on your own. With that said, I'm not doing that quite yet. I do want to finish up the Syracuse site, so we've got that complete. And I want to get you started on Netflix, so at least that when you start on Monday, you don't have that daunting task of starting from scratch. So we're going to spend a little time on it tonight and walk you through those steps. But once we get to that point, coming in on Monday, you're going to have a picture of the Netflix site, and you're just going to start getting going on it.
That sounds fun, actually.
Okay. Any questions on that before we dive back in?
I didn't fix.
Oh,
Well, I did, but then something is still off because my subscriber box is running into my image. Can you help me?
Yep. Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. And I definitely believe I'm missing some divs, but we'll talk about that one using my code because I wasn't able to put them back.
Okay, you are on the left?
Yes, I'm on the left.
Okay. Subscribe button, div 6. Okay, so yeah,
my code is all over the place. Like my indentation is jacked up. I tried to fix it.
Yeah, so just go ahead and hit the save button for me, Command S.
It's doing nothing that I know of.
That's odd because your prettier isn't. Normally, when your prettier has check marks down here, it means it's not cranky with you. But it's clearly cranky with you because it's not doing your indentation right. Menu, close div. Okay, so let me just do this. You've got a row. I don't even know where that closing div is though. Div here, div here, div here.
Yeah, I jacked it up.
See, this is closing this one. That one opens.
Oh, so what in this one right here on 17 close out 21?
You know what? I'm going to give you 2 options here. Either you can just copy and paste my code as is and come back to try and fix this one. Or I can put you in a breakout room with Caitlin and you guys can work on it.
Okay, can you put me in a breakout room? Because I kind of want to figure it.
Caitlin, you all right with that?
Yeah, I just got to figure out where to go because I can't do.
I can assign you on your laptop.
Yeah, I just can't. I got to go into a different physical room.
Oh. Do you want to confirm you can do that before I move you guys? Sorry, I didn't think of that.
I probably can. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I just have to move my laptop. But then yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay, I'm gonna put you guys in the breakout room, and then Caitlin will just let you know, Scadia, when she's ready for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Does it matter if your prettier has 1 check or 2 checks?
I don't know the difference, so I'm gonna say no, it doesn't. Okay, so we're gonna keep going here. I'm gonna share my screen and close that. Okay. So we're close to the end here. What we need to do is we've got another headline going on down here at the bottom. We've got US and World, some other headline, and then our advertisement at the bottom. So we've just got some borders to do there, and we'll be done. So I know this border is showing up at the bottom of my article. So I'm just going to copy that, go find my class with an article, and I'm going to put a border bottom on it. And that looks like a thicker line. So let's try 5px solid black. Black. There we go. Go back into Chrome. And now I've got a different problem where I'm scrolling down and like there's nothing beneath that border area at the bottom. And that's going to drive me crazy. So sometimes when I'm developing, what I'll do is I'll target my container. And I'll say, hey, at the bottom of the container, just throw 50 pixels of padding. And so that when that doesn't work, let me try margin instead. That isn't working either. Grr. Okay, instead of adding it to my container, let me try adding it to the body of the page itself. And I'm just going to do like 500 instead. Okay, so now when I scroll, I've got some room to get down to the bottom. So I'm not going to leave that in there because if someone actually loaded our site, they'd be like, well, what's all this white space down here? What am I missing, right? So you don't want to leave that in there, but as we're developing, when we're towards the bottom of the page, sometimes I like to just push the bottom of the page down so I've got room to work with it. So I'm going to go back to my index. I've got my line showing up here. And so now I've got a new div coming up. And I want to be outside of my article, but still in my container right here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a div. And I'm going to call this snippet articles. And that is going to get my closing div tag, get that lined up. So we've got US World up here. We're going to make that an H6 because it's the smallest of headlines. And say US and World. They have periods. They do have periods. And then right underneath it, I'm going to say that's probably an H5 because it's smaller than this one. And that one we used as an H4. So let's just see what that looks like. Some other headline about taxes. So we go back over. We got our US World showing up and some other headline about taxes. But that doesn't feel right to me. US World needs to be smaller and gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go copy my class, go back to my style, put in my snippet articles, and I'm going to say target the H6, and that H6 needs to be color gray and a font size of 14 pixels. Okay, so that's better. Now we've got the problem of that needs to come down off that top bar a little bit, right? And we've got another problem of I'd like those two to be closer. So I'm going to go to my little inspect button here, and I'm going to go up to here, and I'm going to see, hey, my H6, because that has orange at the bottom of it, that means that that's margin that I can remove from there to pull the two closer. So I'm actually going to do both. I'm going to say margin at the top. Let's add 15 pixels there. But on the bottom, I now don't want any of it. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Now my US World is lining up and my some other headline about taxes. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Go back to my mockup. Kind of feeling Feeling where that is? Now I've got a thinner line separating out my advertisement. Questions there before we keep going?
I have a question. You
Yep.
might have said this before, but how do you know which period or hashtag or nothing goes with what?
Periods always go with classes. Hashtags always go with
IDs.
Here.
And then nothing goes with whatever you put it with?
If you're targeting the element type itself, it gets nothing, correct.
Okay, got it.
And so we always use IDs when it's unique. So if we were to have 2 subscribe buttons on the pages, we would use a class. But because it's unique and there is only 1 subscribe button, we use an ID instead.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so I'm kind of thinking ahead here. We're not going to have any other articles on this page, but we might down the road. And so that's why I thought ahead and thought, okay, I'm going to use that as an article. Same for, or as a class. Same for exclusive, right? We may have other exclusive content going on there. So we're really close to the end, so I'm going to push now, even if you're not caught up, just so we can have it all done, and then I'll open the poll and go from there. Because we're literally 3 elements away here, right? We've just got to get this bottom bar in here, our advertisement text, and the image itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, my snippet articles need to have a border on the bottom that is 1px solid gray. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to come back over here. There it is, but you'll notice there's some space down at the bottom, right? And so I'm going to just say, hey, at the bottom padding, let's add 20 pixels to that. So we just pushed it down a little bit. Now that's feeling like it did in the mockup. So we're doing all right there. Now we just need to do our new div. Again, still in our container, and we're going to call this an advertisement. And we all know the news has lots of advertisements in it, so we're going to use a class instead of an ID, so we can reuse it. And we know that we would like this text to be centered. Everything in it is going to be centered. So we're going to add a little p tag that says advertisement. And I'm going to come back over here, and there it is, but it's too high up from the top, and I know that it needs to be gray and a little smaller. So I'm going to do that all at once. I'm going to grab my advertisement, I'm going to add a class in my CSS, and I'm going to say, ooh, I did not spell advertisement right. Try that again. Advertisement. Okay. Try that again. Advertisement. That's going to be, the color in that is going to be gray, and the font size, let's say that it's going to be 10 pixels. And then up at the top of that, we want a lot of room, so let's say 50 pixels. So we come back over here. There's my advertisement word. It's showing up. It's got the breathing room that I want. We're doing great. All I need to do is come in here, and I'm going to add my img source equals. And I am going to use an image that I have maybe on my desktop. I do, called add1. I will also share this in Slack with you. Case you would like to use my McDonald's ad, if you would like to go on Unsplash and get one on there, that is also okay. If you are pulling it in from the live stream channel, what you can do is click on this little cloud icon right here, and that's going to move it to your downloads folder. Or it's actually going to ask you where you want to save it. So even better, go to your desktop, go to your My Code, go to week 3, go to day 4 or day 3 if that's where your code is, and hit the save button. And that's going to add it into your VS Code right over here on the left, and it should say add1.jpg. So now that I've got that in the right folder, I can just, in my source tag, say add1.jpg, and it's going to come in huge. But that's okay because we've already made a class called full width. Woo. I broke it. I forgot a closing quote. Don't forget your closing quote, guys. Okay. Now that puts it in there. That's looking good, but I notice it's got a little bit more breathing room over on the left there. So I can achieve that by just going into my advertisement and saying, hey, I would like some padding on the left to be 25 pixels and the padding on the right to be 25 pixels. And that's just going to breathe it in and make it where I want it. And then the last thing is my word advertisement. If we go to the inspect tools, click on the little element inspector and hover over here, we see that P tag has margin on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my advertisement, grab my P tag, and say the margin on the bottom is going to be 0. Okay, that looks great. Now last things, for the last thing, we've got that white area on the bottom because we still have our body margin bottom 500. So I'm going to bump that down to 25 just so we've got some room at the bottom of the page. That's not going to scroll. Let me just size this down. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I see my ad down there. Everything's looking good there. Maybe we'll just make that 50 for a little bit more breathing room. So I can scroll down to the end. And there is my entire mobile page. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to share this code in live stream.
Yeah.
And then we will go from there. Just give me 1 minute to do that.
Actually, question. Yeah, go ahead, Nicole. I'm gonna forget it. So, I have to. How come? Okay, so this is probably.
Make sure you can hear you.
Max, Nicole has a question.
Yep.
So hold on. So you made another advertisement and it's in P. How come you didn't put like margin bottom and then do like a little P within that? Like how come like is it just because it has to be that way?
No, you could add margin bottom 50 to that picture and it would accomplish the same thing as if you added it to the bottom of the body.
So why do you have two advertisement style CSS sections?
Because this margin bottom, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. Because this advertisement is impacting everything in this div right here.
Okay.
But this margin bottom is not on this parent div. It's on this P tag right in here. So if I did not target this specific P tag, then the margin would apply to the entire parent area, which does not have the margin on it.
Got it. I got it.
Right, so when I say just the advertisement, you can see the selected area on my screen of everything that's applying to. But when I say advertisement P, I'm saying go find what's highlighted right now, and then go into that and find the P tag inside of there, and that's what we want to take the margin off of.
Got it. If you took nothing off. No. Okay, never.
Ooh, let me see if I'm not muted first.
No, I can hear you.
Where did you find the advertisement image again?
Yeah, so if you go to Slack and scroll up past the code I just posted, you'll see it says add one and it's got the image in there. If you click the little download button, the cloud with the arrow in it, and then navigate to your My Code week 3, day 4 and save it in there.
Awesome. Right, let me go get that. Where is it? Come to Papa.
All right, how we making out? Let me start a poll so you guys can just tell me how you're making out.
I didn't even read the question. Oh, yeah.
Question never changes.
Okay.
Do you mind looking at my code?
Yep. Go for it. Sorry, Zoom does weird things when I'm sharing my screen and you try to, so if you ever hear the delay there, it's like I'm just trying to find the stop button.
Let's see. So I was trying to figure out I figured out why this black line wasn't black, so I fixed it right here because I was missing that.
Yep.
But how come I have a gap here and on yours there isn't?
Yeah, so the question that you have to ask yourself there is what's causing the gap on yours? So go back over to yours and right click on your name. Yep, right there. Right click on that and go down to inspect. And then scroll down just a little bit so we're back in the right area. Yeah, thank you. Words are failing me right now. Okay, you're gonna click on this little icon right here, and that's what's gonna let you like inspect the different areas, and then just hover over this. And so you see when you're hovering over that area right here and right here, because it's orange, it's telling you that there's it's telling you there's margin on that. Okay. So what you can do is you need to figure out how you can target that, and I believe that is your author tag, right? So if you look in your author right here, you've got margin top on it.
Oh.
So if you take that out.
Oh.
And save. Not only are you going to get smaller, you're going to remove that.
Okay.
Good to go?
Oh, wait. Huh?
You good?
Yes. Thank you.
Can I share my screen, Max?
Yep. Christy, you got beat to it. Go ahead.
Sorry.
We'll get you next. Plenty of time.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out why this is not centered.
I believe your div is...
I had an extra div somewhere and I deleted it, but I think I fucked up when I did that. I think I messed up when I did that.
Yeah, so your indentation is off, which makes it really hard to figure out. The first place your indentation goes wrong is 58, it looks like. And so tab over that so it's lining up with 56. Okay, now your article content should be there. Yeah, so tab that over. And now H4 and your P's, yep, all of that comes over.
I'm like, who's that? I was sorry.
Okay, now that closing div comes over, and that is actually the end of your article. And so that div on 67 should go. And that actually might get you to where you need to be.
Okay.
Yep, if you look, it's just live updated to where it should be.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Max, dumb question.
Yep.
So how we just made like a mobile site, I know the other day we made like a regular one.
Yep.
Is that normally how you do it? You make two separate ones, or do you just do one and just make sure it responds to every, different?
Yeah, so ideally what we would do is we would go down and merge those two sites together. So the answer is it depends. Some companies will say, hey, if you're on a screen size that's below 600 pixels of width, just go to our mobile site. And I believe, let me confirm this. Yeah, so if we go, if I just go to a new tab and I go to Amazon.com, right? This looks like a desktop site for me, right? And if I shrink it down, it gets really ugly, right? It's like I gotta scroll over. This is not responsive at all. And that's because what Amazon does is says, hey, let me go back to Google. When I go to Amazon.com and I do that on an iPhone 12 Pro device when I'm emulating it and hit enter, all of a sudden this page looks a lot prettier and a lot more responsive than when I go to Amazon.com and just pull this over. And the reasoning behind that is because Amazon is detecting if I'm on a mobile device, and if I am, Amazon has an entirely different designed mobile page than their desktop page. So Amazon is one who took the approach that we did and said, hey, we're going to have a mobile site, and that's going to be a completely different code base than our desktop site. That is kind of the older way of doing it. The newer way of doing it is saying, hey, let's design out our entire mobile site and then add into it to make it responsive. So as the page gets bigger, our page content is going to respond to that and start laying things out differently. And so I don't want to quite dive into that tonight because I do want to get you guys started on the Netflix project. So when we come in on Monday, you're ready to rock and roll on that. But before we get out of HTML, we'll come back to the concept of responsive sites and show you how to make a responsive site that is not a separate code base for your mobile and desktop. We'll show you how to merge those down together so that your desktop site, when you squeeze it in, it isn't like Amazon and it will actually size down properly. Christy, go ahead. You're unmuted. I can hear you.
All right. I want you to see my screen.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, share screen. So I'm here. Everything looks right to me.
Okay.
There was one thing where I was missing a at T. And so when I go here, I'm not seeing.
Just scroll down.
Scroll down.
Yeah, put your mouse in the center and then just scroll down.
Oh. Okay. I was like, where's my stuff? Okay.
You're not crazy.
Okay, I thought I was.
We all do some days. I dealt with 4 production outages today, so I'm just glad that I'm still here right now.
Max, I have a quick question.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that this looked right. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
So the code looks right, but I just wanted to make sure that where did it go? That you see the line. I don't know how to make this bigger. I'm sorry. How do I make it bigger so you can see what I'm talking about?
Yep. You got it. That 29,
Okay.
Just put it up to like 50, maybe 100. Okay,
that
good.
works. So how do I get the line under where it says some other headline about taxes? How do I get that like thicker? Like not thicker, but I don't know how to explain it. It just seems pretty thin and, is it possible to make it darker or anything like that?
Yeah, so if you go to your CSS.
Yep. Okay, I'm on the right. Yep, just want to make sure.
Yep, and then scroll. That snippet articles has a 1px solid gray.
Yeah.
So you could make that black, and that would make it stand out more.
Okay.
Or you could make it thicker by changing the 1 to like a 3 or a 5.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I just didn't know what to change to fix it.
No problem.
All right.
Other questions? Got 9 votes in. I'd love for a 10th if you can find the Zoom poll. I am celebrating the fact that no one has voted I'm lost.
think I can't find it, but
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I know Ariel is not in the room, our TA next week, because she would troll me and vote I'm lost just because I called out that no one had voted for that.
I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, 1 second. Share my screen. I can find the Zoom.
I can ask you to unmute. I wish I could ask you to screen share. Sometimes it's just easier when it pops up, but that feature isn't built into Zoom yet.
This is what I'm getting.
Okay, so just click on D4 down at the bottom. There you go.
They still don't look like yours.
Oh, okay. So I think all you're missing is the full width class on your advertisement.
Okay, 1 second.
You gotta say words.
Is it because they're out of order? Like I have a snippet article, then snippet article, then advertisement?
No, that should be fine. Order does sometimes matter in CSS, but in this case it shouldn't. Go to your index.html.
No, I was asking him, when did he change his?
What?
When did you change yours? Yours
To
wasn't order like that.
I haven't changed the order.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
So you've got your class full width on that image, except it's not full width, it's full width.
Also, snippet articles
spell wrong.
You need a capital A. I don't know what
Yes,
your
you do.
CSS looks like, but you can fix it if your CSS is wrong also.
Yep, save and let's take a look.
Yeah, your CSS was correct, so that's good.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, last chance for questions.
Okay, I had a question.
Yeah.
The whole bottom part of my screen is just not showing up.
It's probably because it's covered by your dev tools. Go ahead and share your screen. If you zoom back out, see it adjust your 50 or 75 back down to like 25 and see if that makes it show up.
Okay, so I done exited out of my dev tools completely, and so I don't think that's it, but I'll share my screen. I think it's something. I was over here playing catch up, so I might have missed something.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so if you just scroll down there. Okay, so your advertisement like isn't in there. So let's go to your HTML.
Okay.
And your source is a skr.
Oh, okay. Well, that might help.
And save. And okay, now your problem. I don't know what your problem is. Try and just refresh it in the browser. Sometimes it doesn't like when we add files.
Okay.
Just hit enter there, or the refresh button up at the top by the back button.
Circle like.
Sorry, my whole thing was like blocking that. And this is yours, so I don't know what happened. Sorry, guys.
Why does your image hate you?
I don't know. And now this is like super big, and it's your image that I stole from the code. Did I do that wrong?
Go back to your VS Code. Oh, you know what it is? It's because you don't have VS Code installed in your applications folder.
Okay.
So what you need to do is quit out of VS Code.
Okay.
Save the code.
Yeah, it will ask you if it's not saved. So yeah, close out of that.
Okay.
Go up to code up at the top and hit quit.
Okay.
Go to Finder. Go to Applications. Scroll down to the bottom.
I want to change the color on my text here. You know how to do that?
And okay, your VS Code is in there. So take this one on your desktop and delete it.
This one right here.
No, the one right over here.
Did I say your name right?
Oh, sorry, all of that is in the way.
Yeah, that one. And move to trash.
Okay.
Now right click on this one and rename it. And take out the -2. And then take that and drag it down to this area of the dock. To the left side.
I got you.
Here
one second.
and here. Yeah, I know things are in the way.
Yeah. So.
Why is it not letting you do that?
I have one in here. Is that why?
Right click on that. Options. Remove from dock. Okay, now try dragging that one down. I have no idea why it's not letting you do that. Let me try it myself.
Okay.
Okay, I've got no idea why it was letting me do it and not you. But go ahead and pop that. Oh, I stopped your screen sharing. Open up VS Code now from the dock or from the applications folder. Pull up your folder again, start live server, and then let me know if your image is still not working.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I think we're good to move on to get Netflix started.
Okay.
Are we excited?
Yes.
I also have that problem. So, like mine in the applications, I don't know if it's been working, but
it is or isn't in applications.
It's in the application.
Sorry, one more time. It is or isn't?
Isn't.
Okay, yeah. So you should do the same thing of quit out of everything. Make sure you don't have VS Code running at all. Remove it from your dock. Remove it from your desktop. And make sure the only place for it is in your applications folder.
Okay.
And the reasoning that you have to do that is the applications folder is a special folder on the Mac that gets access to other kinds of files. And so what's happening is your web server that's showing everything in the web browser is trying to get access to your JPEG image, and the operating system is like, no, you're not an application. You don't get access to other parts of the computer. And so by moving it into the applications folder, it should fix a lot of those problems. Or I'm just blowing smoke up somewhere.
It didn't do it for me, but I'm going to attempt to drop the picture back.
Share your screen for me. Now it's going to bug me.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. I just replaced it inside of my code. So now it's showing up so now you see now it's showing up there.
Okay.
So it might do it. This is yours.
That is mine, yep.
And that's probably because I didn't hit go live on my thing. Ooh.
Oh, nope, not that one. Cancel. In the bottom right.
Okay.
And then go live on the bottom right, not bottom left.
That would make sense.
Got it.
Okay. And that
McDonald's.
Alrighty.
Very big McDonald's, but that did fix it. Okay, good.
It was huge. Okay, thank you.
All right, good to move on?
Yeah.
We ready for our next project? Because what better time to start a new project than 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, right?
Right.
Okay, good news is nothing new coming your way. We're just doing everything that we've done. The goal that we are going for is... Oh, don't tell me I didn't upload the screenshot to the outline. Oh, give me 1 second.
Basically, we're done with that mobile unless we want to spruce it up.
What?
We're done with the mobile unless we want to spruce it up.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
For the desktop version, so
Yes.
we can turn it in.
Alright, let's see if I can make this work with the last 13%.
Did all this lovely prep work for you guys and was all set up for everyone and thought I was being good, and then I forgot one picture. Alright, downloads. Alright, so you're about to get very personal right now because this is my actual Netflix, and I considered changing up the images and thought, nope, you guys are my students now. You're getting to know me more. So it's like your frequently used emoji. You can really tell a lot by a person, or you can really tell a lot by a person's Netflix. So we are in day 4, and we're gonna upload that really quickly. Come on, Google.
Step it up.
You gotta order by stuff. Are you frozen?
Get link. Anyone with link. Copy, done. Outline. And we're gonna add a new one down here for Maxflix mockup.
That's fine.
And bold and okay. Under resources, there is now a Maxflix mockup file, and it should look like this. So, believe it or not, over the next 3 days, starting on Monday, you guys are going to remake this website and do it all on your own. Other than just getting started, right? And this looks insane until you start looking at this and go, well, all this is a big picture. And then, well, this is a H1. And then this is going to be a paragraph. And, well, we already know how to make a button and change the background of it. And then we're going to come down here, and all these are just images, right? And this is some styling, and, well, this looks like a grid system. This is a row, and we've got our columns going on here. So we know how to make that work. And, oh, look, now there's just a little margin going on, and there's another one here, and more grids. Well, all those images are really going to be a pain. Where am I going to get all of those images from? Well, if you go back to the outline, you will find that I have some images for Maxflix. So if you download them and pop open that zip file, I have saved an image like this for you, and I have saved all of these individual images, so you can start pulling them right from there. So you don't have to pull them off a Netflix site or whatever. You can pull them right off from my zip file. So the goal for tonight is just to get you started, right? We're going to spend the next 20 minutes getting you in a good place, getting you ready for Monday, getting you excited. And then this weekend, all you need to do is go back to your weather project, go back to the Syracuse desktop site, go back to the Syracuse mobile site, and not only understand what we did in there, but understand why we did it. Because you are not going to be able to do this Netflix project unless you understood why. And all of those previous projects, you've got to think, how did Max know to do that? How did he know there was going to be another div? How did he know there was going to be a grid involved there? How did he know that that column size was a certain piece? How did he know that he needed to pull in bootstrap? How did he, right? Those are all of the whys. You're going to take all of the lessons that you've had. We're in week 3, believe it or not. So we're about to set you free in week 4. And we're going to be here along the whole process, right? And so if you guys want to break into groups and do this in groups, this is fine. If you want to tackle it individually, that's fine. we are going to tackle this, and it's not like I'm taking 2 days off. I'm going to be here Monday. I'm going to be here on Tuesday. We're going to answer questions. We're going to get you going. Some people may finish this in 2 days, and that's great. Some people may get to the end of day 3 and go, I need to spend some time on this weekend, or, getting back together with my group and working on it, and that's okay. So when we ask questions, we're all going to hear the answers of them, and it may be that someone gets unstuck at one point, and someone else has that exact same question an hour later, and we can just go back and revisit that. But we're going to get you started on this project so that when we come in on Monday, you're ready to dive in and really take the reins. Before we do any questions, because I know this seems like a daunting task, so we're going to do the setup that we all know, that we all start as engineers, as the new project, and take it from there.
Are we adding a new folder or file?
Yeah, we are. So we're going to start week 4, day 1 today, even though we're not in week 4, day 1 yet, so that you guys have a good jumping off place to start. Any questions before I dive in?
No.
Zach, thank you for the compliment on the logo. We are totally not ripping off Netflix's site. We are making Maxflix, or your own Flix. We are not making Netflix. And if you would like to generate your own logo, I actually included a logo generator in the resources. So if you would like to use your own logo in your name, you're totally welcome to do that. Okay, let's dive in. Let's get this sucker started. So I'm going to go to VS Code. I'm not even going to live share my code here because we're just doing the basics. So I'm going to do File, New Window, File, Open Folder. I'm going to go to my desktop, my code. I'm going to make a new folder for week 4. And instead of doing day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 here, because this is a several day project, I'm just going to call this Maxflix instead, just because it's going to span several days. I'm going to hit open. I'm going to do a new file. It's a text file. I'm going to save it as index.html. I'm going to do my exclamation mark and my enter. And I'm going to make my title Maxflix. I'm going to add a new file and call it style.css. I'm going to add an h1 and color it red, as I always do. I'm going to go back to my index. I'm going to go to my body. I'm going to add an h1, and I'm going to say test. I'm going to go live. And I'm going to not get my red h1. What step did I miss?
Oh, yeah.
No space.
You didn't make the style.css file?
I did. There it is.
There's a space.
Did you link it?
I didn't link it. That was the issue. So I have to add my link tag. I've got to tell it the rel is a style sheet. And the href is going to be my style.css. Save it. Come over here. It's not href, is it? Is it source? Oh my god, I'm so tired. I don't even remember how to make a link tag. Index. It is href and rel. Okay, what did I miss? Wrong one. Oh, I opened that. Maxflix. Href. Rel. Oh, I spelled style sheet wrong. Save. Style sheet rel. Link href. And restart my live server. There we go. Now I've got some red text. Shows you even if you've done this 40 times, you can still screw it up. Okay, so I've got my link in there. I know we're going to need Bootstrap right off the bat, right? We've already talked about needing the grid system. So I'm going to go to getbootstrap.com. I'm going to go to get started. I'm going to hit the little copy button on the CSS. I'm going to come back over here, paste it above my style sheet. come to my Maxflix, and I've got my test in Arial. So I know I've got Bootstrap in there. So we're going to do one more thing. We're going to get our row and column started just for the logo, just so I know my page is working. And we're going to turn the whole page black, because if you notice in that mock-up, it's a black theme, right? It's not the light theme, it's the dark theme. So we're going to just get us set up well there. So I know, because if you notice my mock-up, it goes the full width of the page, right? It's not contained in the center. It spans the full width. So I know I'm going to want a div class on that of a container fluid. And I know that my top is going to be a row. I got a row, and I got some columns here, and I've got a gap, and I've got more things going on here. So I know right off the bat, okay, I need my row. Now, if you come in on Monday and you go, whoa, I can't dive into this, I need to go through and draw boxes on top of that, do it. You guys are in control of this project, right? Going through and planning before you write any additional code, probably a really good idea. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to add my div class row to get started.
I have a question.
Yep.
Did you stop the, yeah, there's no live share.
There's no live share on this, just because I'm going to do like 3 more lines here, and then we're going to be done for the night.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so I'm going to do a div class col2 to get started, just because I know I want a smaller logo up at the top. And then I'm going to go to the outline and download my zip and pop that open. And in my zip, I've got a logo.png. I'm going to grab that and drag that in. And I've got my logo showing up here. So now I'm just going to do an img src equals logo.png. And save that. I've got that showing up. That's good. That's what I want to start with. And the last thing I want to do, I said we want to make the whole page a dark color, right? So I'm going to look there. That looks black to me, right? It's not gray. It's not a off shade of black. So I'm going to go to my style.css, and I'm going to say the entire body of my page is going to get a background color of black.
Yay.
That's it. We're done. You guys take it from here.
Go back to your code, please.
Yep.
How did you get that Maxflix?
So that logo.png is in the zip file that I downloaded from the mockup. I'm sorry, from the outline. I've got a link that says images for Maxflix. If you would like to generate your own logo, there is a YourFlix logo generator that you can use. But you're still going to want to download all the images for Maxflix, because in that folder, you'll see I also have show 1, show 2, show 3. And so you're going to want to use those images in your grid and go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, good question. Oh,
So-
sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
The style.css file,
Yep.
when we were starting a new project, I closed out of like everything and started a new file for Maxflix. So are you using a previous style CSS file, or you made a new one?
Made a new one, and it just has, actually we can get rid of our H1 color red. It just has a body background color black.
Okay, cool.
Max, for some odd reason, after opening up my new file and I'm hitting the line 1 exclamation point for the, what is it, dot type.
Yep.
Nothing else is like loading.
Share your screen.
All right. Sorry. Okay, so if I do.
Nope.
Oh, I'm tripping. Okay.
Exclamation point, enter.
Oh, okay. My brain is tired. Sorry.
I'm telling you, 8:22 at night is the perfect time to start any new project. I don't know what you guys are on.
Thank you.
I mean, clearly it's the best time to start a project because I couldn't even remember how to get a link tag in.
Show that code, please. Just go back to the code.
Yes, we need to.
Yeah,
we need
here.
to go back to the code.
I'm putting the code in live stream.
Okay.
So you guys can reference it there. Netflix starter. Okay, it's in there. I will screen share too in case that is easier because I know you guys are limited on monitor space.
Yeah, mine went out, so I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's not going to work well. Let me see.
Yeah,
Can
I
I?
got the CSS part. I just need the.
Okay, yeah, I'll just leave this up then. If you guys have this working, you are welcome to get out of here. Enjoy the start of your weekend. 2 requests or 2 final reminders. 3 reminders. Homework this week, the desktop version of the site and the mobile version of the Syracuse.com website. And did we do weather this week? Was that all the way back on Monday? Can't remember. If it was, that's the 3rd assignment. Homework is number 1, office hours tomorrow, 5:30. If you can't make it still and have questions, go ahead and send them to me in Slack and I will address them then. Otherwise, hopefully we will see you live on Zoom at 5:30 tomorrow. Bring any questions that you may have. And then third and final reminder is if you get a chance, fill out the 30-second feedback. Those questions may say, how did it go today? But if you want to answer it as like, how did this week go in general? How are you feeling? What do you need additional help on? What resources worked? What didn't work? All of that feedback not only makes the next cohort better, but makes next week's classes better. So we definitely go through that feedback. We try and do it every day. We will definitely do it every weekend. And address things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be things in class too. If you're finding that you're struggling with a concept, or there's an issue with the stipend, or anything related to the program and any aspect of the program, throw it in that feedback form, and we will make sure it gets to the right person. Shantina, no problem to go back over this. To get to the downloads, I'm gonna go all the way out to Canvas. So go to Canvas. I'm going to go to Student View. Scroll down.
Tomorrow?
What?
You said we have class tomorrow. It's not Monday through Thursday. It's Monday through.
No class tomorrow, just office hours.
Okay.
And office hours are optional. Yeah, only an hour. I can only take 13 hours of you guys a week. So office hours tomorrow, 5:30, virtual only, not at Common Space, and totally optional. Okay, Shantina, for downloads, week 3, day 4 outline, click on that. Scroll down to the images for Maxflix and click on the img.zip. Click on the little download icon up here in the top right. Give it a second, because there are a fair amount of them. Go down to your downloads folder and click on the img1.zip file. That's going to pop it open into your folders, and then in here are all of your images. So if you want, because you know you're going to need these, you could just drag and drop the whole folder into VS Code, and that's going to put it in your week 4 day 1 folder for you, or your week 4 Netflix folder.
So this is kind of a general question, but whenever you're working on something like this, you always need the image itself in the same folder that the actual HTML is saved to, right? Because I just tried dragging the image folder into week 4, day 1, and it wasn't loading. So I just took them all out of the folder and moved them into the folder.
So you don't have to. It's actually usually best practice to have them all in one image folder. So when I drag it in, the option here is add to workspace or copy folder. I'm going to copy it so it puts it all in there. And now if I delete out my logo here, it's going to say, hey, your logo doesn't exist anymore, right? And I'm going to go into my image folder and say, well, my logo's right here. Well, you've got to tell it that it's inside the image folder. So the way you do that is you're going to say img/, and then that slash is going to tell it that img is the folder. And so now when you go back to your code, it's going to load it in.
Oh, the link, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That answer your question, Zach?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Good question. I don't know that we've covered that. If anyone missed that, that's a good one. Christy, I'm coming to you next. If you do put the whole folder in here, that's a good idea to keep your images separate from your HTML and style and all of that. But when you use that image, you have to say img or whatever the folder name is /. And that's telling the browser, hey, you can go find this image. It's just going to be inside of a folder.
Yeah, because I know I had problems with that on the last, when I was working on the like news website and everything earlier, but.
Yep.
Your style sheet has to come after.
Good question. Christy, what's up?
Okay, so in the when you started, where it says integrity,
yes.
Where did we get that from?
You're gonna go to same place we always get it from, getbootstrap.com. Click on the Get Started link, scroll down to this section, hit copy, and then go.
I did that. I'm talking about on the line where it says integrity.
That's all part of this. So if you paste it and hit save, your prettier is gonna run, and it's gonna show you that it's what you copied is actually a couple lines worth of text.
Oh, okay.
You already had it. You just didn't know you had it.
Oh wow.
Do I need to add a question to the?
Where did you get this from?
Do I need to add a question to the 30-second feedback form of what's your sanity level currently at after 12 hours of dealing with Max?
Oh my gosh. I was like, this is new. Where did he get this from?
Yeah, normally that's all on that one really long line, but prettier is going, that's too much to put on one line and putting it on separate lines for you.
Right, because I'm like, the REL style sheet. It's like, where did all this come from? This is new. I thought it was a Maxflix thing.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
But my title's up here.
Yeah. Your title will show in the
Can you show your style sheet one more time, Max?
Yes, I sure can.
So after this call too, can you show me the outline? Like outside of that little bracket. Let me see that right. Press enter.
What's the
like your name or something?
Can you look it over? Because I'm just trying to look at it.
Okay, so then
I'm not logged in.
The picture in there.
Yep, go ahead and share your screen.
My background should be black.
Right. So
If you've got an image showing up and your background black, you guys are done for the evening and can get out of here. Otherwise, I will stick around and help get you to that point.
I can't even open up no more.
I think I dragged and dropped mine wrong.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to share your screen, Zach?
Got my Maxflix going.
Awesome. Good work, Chaz. All right.
Yep. Then you should be good.
Okay, so your image is there. Where is your close out IMG? Where is your maxflix.html file?
I'm like, I'm gonna lose my shit out, but
Like, are you is it in outline or timeline, or are you too far in?
I tried like dragging and dropping the image folder from downloads into like CS code, and it just like closed out of what I had opened a new one. And then I opened this.
So go to file open folder and open whatever folder your maxflix.html is in.
Give it. If there's a what? That's a good question.
Okay, hit open on that.
Let's
Hold
find
on.
your school.
Hold on.
Okay, now your Maxflix is in there. The problem is all of your other images are also in there.
Yeah, because I moved them there manually. Should I delete them all?
Well, go to Maxflix. Let's look there first. And then open up your IMG folder. Okay, and some of them are in there, but the logo one isn't. So if you move logo into IMG and move, now and then restart your live share because you changed the folder. Okay, yeah, and you're good to go.
Oh God, so I have to move all of these over?
Here, let me come in. If you grant control there, I'll show you the quicker way of, I'm just going to do it in Finder. Week 4, day 1, Command A on everything, unselect these 3, and then just drag and drop them in.
Okay.
And now we go back and you're good to go.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Who's up next? You're muted in person if someone's trying to say something in person.
We're not. We were talking though. Didn't want to bother you.
Okay, no problem. Everyone good? Feel like we're at a good starting point for Monday?
I can't find oh never mind. I was clicking week 5. I was never mind.
Okay. Any last questions before we head out?
No.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
See you guys.
Good night.
Good weekend.